Hey everyone, welcome to the Boston Greeks podcast. I am Ari. I am here with my co-host Fotis Stamos, and we have an amazing guest today. We go way back with this guy. We had some insane times. In case you want to check it out, just look at our Instagram from yesterday. He's in there. Totally coincidentally, by the way. But an amazing guest who's doing amazing things. Before we bring him on, let me introduce Foti. Foti, what's up, man?
How you doing, Ari? I'm doing great myself, and as you said, very, very excited for our guest. Not just a guest, but you mentioned as a good friend. And also, I'm thankful that some of those photos didn't make it to yesterday's gallery.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of photos I won't put up, but the good ones go, and we definitely had a good one from our guest. And we've been chasing him for a little while. I think we've been trying to get him on the show for a while.
Yeah, you know what?
Nailed him down.
We've been chasing because he's got a lot of great things going on in the Boston scene, and you know, the scene in general in Boston is progressing. I'm sorry, and I'm glad to see that our guest is progressing with that change, and he's bringing a lot of great light to our Greek culture through the venues of his restaurants. And I want to invite and welcome to our show Demetri Tsolakis. Demetri, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. You know, I was just saying earlier, a blast from the past. The three of us get together again, and we're all home.
Yeah, it's so good to. I mean, you're like on the scene. I know a lot of Greeks from the Boston area and from beyond see your face all the time. I haven't seen you in a long time. I'm not even in Boston anymore at the moment. So it's good to see these blasts from the past faces. And you know, like we said before, we've been ever since we've seen you basically coming up and doing amazing things. We've been trying to get you on the show. So Foti, let's where do you want to start? You want to kind of
Yeah, you know, we going back to what Demetri just mentioned, like the three of us. I mean, we all have a great history back maybe 25, 20 years ago.
Don't.
I'm sorry, I have to say it puts things into perspective that
I'm only 28 years old. How would I have known about
you know, the funny thing was back then there were more Greek nights than Greek restaurants. So now the reverse has happened. We've seen the you know, the recreation, I want to use that word, the recreation of great Greek establishments in our Boston market and beyond Boston as well. And I think as Greek Americans growing up through that time period, I think it has molded and shaped us into having a desire and pride into putting together what we felt was lacking in Boston. And I think Demetri can speak in that sense because he is one of the contributors to what's happening in today's changing scene of Boston Greek restaurants.
Demetri, can we kind of get like what? So you were involved in the nightlife scene, correct? Back in the day.
Yeah, when back in the day, you know, I was 18 back then, going to Suffolk University, and I was very involved with the Greek clubs there, and that kind of got me in the foot in the door to do Greek nights in nightlife and throughout college. But then, you know, nightlife for me kind of got old quick. It was fun. You hit 21 when it becomes boring after that. So I kind of, you know, focused on my studies, which I always did, and I graduated from Suffolk and immediately, you know, while becoming an investment banker, you know, I want to make mom happy and, you know, finish school and go to school and get the diploma that our parents never got. So, you know, I did the investment banking, but I'm like, you know what, this just isn't me. I grew up in the restaurant business, hospitality, and I just wanted to go back into it. You know, I gained some experience here in Boston, made some connections, and then eventually did my own thing.
That's awesome. Okay, so you did investment banker, which is actually really cool. I mean, maybe it's boring if you are an investment banker, but from the outside, that's a pretty impressive resume to be an investment banker. But like you said, you wanted to go back into what you knew or what your family knew. So what was kind of like your entry? Post club, post investment banking, where did you go? What did you do?
So I always wanted to kind of stay in touch with the restaurants. You know, I grew up in my family when I was 9 years old, and I started working in the restaurant. I can put the sodas like over the counter, and that was my first gig in my family's restaurants. But from there, you know, I did everything. I was doing front of the house, I was doing back of the house. And when I came in from school, I kind of lost all that because, you know, I left the parents' house, I left the family business. And I came to Boston at, 18 years old, and I was kind of lost. I was like, what am I going to do here? So I ended up working at Legal Seafoods as a server right when I was a freshman, because I wanted to stay in touch with the whole restaurant business. And from there, they wanted to put me in the management program. I haven't even graduated college yet. And to do all that, but I declined it back then. I didn't want to go that route. I really wanted to focus on my studies and see what I could do or what else is out there other than restaurants, because us Greeks, growing up in there, it's in our blood. So I gave investment banking a shot, totally loved it. My clients loved me. But again, I was just missing something, and I wasn't who I was when I was doing that corporate world. So I knew I had to get back into restaurant businesses.
Okay, so what was basically so we have a little bit of your background, but what is it that you did that was like, okay, I found it, this is me, I feel complete? What was that first entry?
For me, it was always the trips to Greece. It was always my family's restaurants. It was always like, I want to do something Greek. So when I was in college, I was doing nightlife because the hours were the easiest for me. I was a promoter in various nightclubs and started off at Aria. But from there, it really helped my career. I met some great people. And I became at 23, probably the youngest GM ever. And I was the GM of Mantra in downtown.
Wow.
So I started there, and it was nightlife, but what really caught my eye at Mantra was the dining side. And at that point, when I was involved with that group, it was kind of dying. The nightlife took over. The supper club idea that we see now that they're doing really well within Marielle and Lolita and Yvonne's and how they portray it, it just wasn't done. So I really took a stab at that. For Mantra, did it really, really well. We had the nice balance. So I think we were kind of like the first supper club back in the day. Again, I was 23 back then with Mantra. And I just knew from Mantra, I did not want to do nightlife, but I really wanted to do that food scene again and the hospitality, because the interaction where guests were such more intense and much more enjoyable. You could take them like on a culinary journey rather than having loud music and having people not falling all over the place, but just dancing around and having a good time. It was different for me. But I always liked that because I always like to incorporate a little of the Greek culture in these in my work.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Way back, another lifetime ago, I worked on Boylston Street for a company, and I remember we did company events, and it was with a restaurant on Newbury Street. For the life of me, I can't remember, but I believe it was either you or your brother that were head of this restaurant.
Cafeteria. It was me.
Cafeteria. Yes, that's it.
Cafeteria. So when I left Mantra, I actually went over to Cafeteria and kind of rebranded that concept. I was actually there for 7 years, and I brought my brother in, family business. We made it family business.
Right. Well, my sister actually worked for that company, and she brought me in. But I remember she was in charge of these events, and she always used to say these great things about you. And I was like, yeah, I know him. So that was just like a little side that I remember this.
That was part of my journey. That was after Mantra, and I went to Cafeteria on Newbury Street for about 7-8 years. Rebranded that until I did my first concept, which was Committee in the Seaport, which then led into the other Greek avenues with Greco, Krasi, and now a new cocktail bar, Hecate, and some other things we can talk about down the road. But it definitely opened the door in the whole restaurant scene here in Boston, and what I wanted to do and lay the foundation and my journey where it began. So I knew I wanted to be in restaurants ever since I came to Boston. And there was such a void of Greek restaurants. I was in college in 2001. There was one Greek restaurant, and I just missed it because when I started school, they closed. I forgot the name of it. It's Theater District, Olympia maybe, or it's where Pinball was. It's right in the Theater District. I forgot the name of it now.
It was in the same ground block that the 57 restaurant was on.
Yes, the Bay Village. Yes, correct.
And that was a long running restaurant since I think the 70s, and had just closed the doors.
Yes. But again, just being, in the from our culture, not seeing any Greek restaurant, it's like, okay, something has to be done. And there literally was a good 15-year void until we actually saw another Greek restaurant, come back. And I credit myself, my team, with Committee was a kind of resurgence. We opened that, and all of a sudden they started, sprouting all over the place, which is just amazing. That I can't do them all, my team can't do them all. So the more the merrier, more Greeks that take the chance and want to take that route. A lot of the Greeks, I think these days, they made mom and dad proud by going on Wall Street and becoming financial advisors, and they just don't want the restaurant business. I think they see their family and the struggles, and the mom and dad working all the time, and that. And I even think the parents these days are like, kids, we don't want you to be in restaurants.
Well, to your point, Demetri, the dynamic back then was a lot different. In running a restaurant, it was all family, right? Well, now it's more of a operations. Like you're an operator, not just the owner, and bringing your wife, your kids, your cousin from Greece to run the establishment, right? So definitely, I think the void was there because our parents were pushing us away from the industry because they didn't want us to go through the same struggles as you mentioned.
Totally agree.
But I think right now it's on another level. Like the stuff you do, Demetri, compared to like the stuff I would see like the Greek immigrants in the 60s, 70s doing. It's difficult work, but it's a completely different ballgame. Like this is the stuff you're doing is like this is you said the parents want you to steer away from that because that was their experience. I see what you do, and I'd be proud if my kid was going that route. I'd be proud if my kid was in Boston Magazine here and on this feature here and on the amazing Boston Greeks podcast. Like I know he made it. So I think I understand exactly what you guys are saying because I'm from that same background, but what you guys are doing now, and Demetri, especially with your newest concepts, with all your concepts, but I'm just saying newest concept because this is what is in everybody's face right now. Like I would love it. I would love my kid to have that level of success to be able to pull something like that off by himself with a team.
Mom is definitely proud, but she is kind of the icon growing up that I wanted to succeed and become successful. Not many people know my mom's a single mother. She raised 3 boys, me and my 2 brothers, on her own. So just seeing what she went through in the family restaurants and the struggles it just motivated me to like, one day I'm going to give it all back. So I could one day, buy her house, move her closer up here to Boston, and have her here and just enjoy her life. And then in return, build my team and work with my partners and start my GMs who are eventually going to become our partners. We created this now big group, between 6 concepts and the staff and the team we're building and what we're about to do. It's what's rewarding for me. It's like I didn't want to just be that one guy who was a face, on a magazine or going up to the table and say, how's your evening with us? It was just more, hey, let me mentor these people. Let me get them on board. The Greek culture is what I can share. It's what I'm good at. It's what I know from my upbringing, and seeing, Americans or whatever nationality they are on our team just really embrace the Greek culture. It's so rewarding for me because it's like, okay, they may not be able to go to Greece or have that opportunity maybe with us, but just seeing how they react to it and the values we learned growing up and what we give back in the restaurant. For us, it's just how we were brought up. We're Greek American, and this is how we were brought up from our families that love that close knit. And I think in my restaurants, we consider ourselves a little family over there. And I would have never, had those values and those pillars if it wasn't for the way I was brought up. And it's so great, that we can bring our culture in a lot to our guests, to our staff, to our vendors, to our marketing, and to really, really everything we do. And the fact that Greece looks upon it, we get a lot of national press from Greece and what we're doing here, and they're just shocked and in awe. And I just think it's great, and I'm proud to say I'm Greek American. My family was born in Greece. I was born here, but the culture is the same, the upbringing is the same, and we have the same values. And it's really just nice to be able to put that now in our company core values and just go off this whole philoxenia thing and just say, this is who we are, food, service, ambiance, we can do but we just all have to understand what we're doing and how much it means because the way we're pretty much brought up by our parents back in the day. So I think that's really, really important that, you get this different level of, feeling, when you're in working or eating at a Greek establishment.
Oh, very well said. Very well said.
I commend you on that, Demetri, because, you took a chance during times that not many would. And you think about it, like, why wouldn't Greek work, why wouldn't Greek be the
Yeah.
be the next great thing? Did you ever have a moment in time when you were thinking about this that you were skeptical, like I'm going to try this and see what happens, not sure if it's going to work? Or did you feel confident that this is going to work no matter what?
I knew it was going to work just because I knew what was missing. And I knew how growing up since 9 years old, seeing the regulars I created and the people I met in my family's business for over 10 years working, every position, and seeing that, Boston is a very cultural, diverse city. We have students from all over the world, doctors, visitors, tourists. And I'm like, they have all of this great stuff right now happening. And just where's the Greek food? And at this time, I think like top chefs weren't out yet, but there was like a few cooking shows and a few magazines, but Greece itself was always known. Always known. People, we laugh to this day, the stories they tell us about their trips to Greece. But with Boston, I knew though, I didn't want, because this was about 2015 for my first gig. I'm like, okay, times are changing. I don't want to go in and put a blue and white Aphrodite's Palace or a Greek pizza place that puts lettuce in their choriatiki. I didn't want to do the typical things that people, thought of Greek food at the time or identified with, because a lot of it, some of it was false. Some of it was false. So when I did Committee in 2015, it was really to capture something that was not happening anywhere, but something that you see a lot now is this modern approach to Greek food. It's kind of like, okay, we grew up on pasticcio, we grew up on moussaka, we grew up on baklava. People can Google things now. I don't think when I started the restaurants, Google was around. People can Google things now and find a recipe and make it themselves. But what people don't have and we might be lacking is the creativity. So Committee was a creative approach to Greek food. When we opened Committee, we went to something very modern. It's in its 7th year now. And I wanted to capture pretty much the way Greeks eat, how loud we are, how much, it's a social thing that we do. We have to go out. It's right. The energy, the way we pass the food, we eat, we sip, we savor. It's like, it's a lot going on at the table, but it's what makes it fun. And I wanted to really capture that. And the best way to kind of do that over food and drink is with Meze. And we took a risk because we were only the 3rd restaurant in the seaport at that time. And we took that risk, but it's been a success ever since, and it's fun. Committee is so much fun that you can go in there and do some creative things with Greek dishes that no one pretty much can come up with. But from there, it's kind of like, what? I didn't grow up in this and I kind of miss my roots. I really miss my roots of having a traditional gyradiko, a gyro joint that you can go and have, authentic traditional foods from the streets of Greece, which is pretty much for us was gyros as our street food, a good choriatiki salad, tzatziki dips. And then we also brought in loukoumades. We're the first restaurant here to do loukoumades and bring that dessert that's really popular in Greece. People were just doing baklava and rice pudding. So we're doing something a little different there. And with my business partner, Stefanos, who we were friends from Greece. And when he was here, I'm like, what? We're just walking down Newbury Street and we're like, we have to do something else, let's try Greco. We came up with the idea, we did Greco, and Greco now it's on its 4th location. Would have been more, but COVID kind of just put a little pause on our most recent, but since 2017, we are now in 4 locations in Boston, Back Bay, Seaport, downtown, and the TD Garden. And we stick to our authentic roots there and do everything authentic. We have some cool things coming up with Greco as well, with some more expansion to kind of enlarge and expand that brand, because that's something that can be easily replicated and duplicated for us. It's very consistent. And we know that it's something that's a nice intro to any market, any other city, would totally appreciate and respect having a Greco. And then from there, do the one-off concepts, which is why I later came and brought up Krasi. At that time, again, just traveling through Greece and always trying to come up with our own, original ideas and not copying anyone. It's just this thing of Greek wine. Back in the day, we didn't drink Greek wine, and we did, but it was the house wine and nothing really exciting. But Greeks didn't drink. People didn't drink Greek wine because they could never read the damn label. Right. They're giving you a bottle of wine and you're trying to pronounce Mavro, Agio, Ayorgitiko, and no one could say it. So, the recession happened in Greece. I kind of think Greece, worked within the country and they're like, what? We have great products. How do we get it out? And they came up with this great, this wine, some of the best wines in the world. and they changed the branding, they changed the labels, and they started exporting Greek wine that was much easier to read, to understand. And I'm like, we have to do a wine bar in Boston. Boston's a drinking city. They're classy. They go out. They like to have nice evenings. But also, again, I by this time had the modern Greek committee. The street food concept with the gyros is doing really well and expanding. We had 3 by then. So I'm like, you know what? We got to do something regional because, you always see regional Italian. People always label Greek food as Mediterranean, but we're not just Mediterranean, because Mediterranean is also Italy, south of Spain, Northern Africa, Lebanon, Israel, like all these countries just fall into that gap Mediterranean. So we always wanted to kind of like separate ourselves from Mediterranean and give Greece the category it deserves. It needs to be on its own because we are our own, our own culture, our own identity. And we do a lot of things that other countries don't. We have so many PDOs, a lot of the foods are only made and found in Greece. So we wanted to really focus on something regional because unfortunately with Boston and 4 Seasons, you don't get the best tomatoes in January. Right. And our biggest critics are like, why don't you have a choriatiki salad? Because unfortunately, it's 3 feet of snow outside and tomatoes aren't growing right now. But little that Greece has amazing winter salads. Greece has amazing other dishes from Corfu, Crete, Zagorohoria, anywhere throughout Greece, Volos, Kavala.
It's endless, right?
Parts of Greece that we wanted to highlight, not only through wine, but through food. We weren't going to be that restaurant that gives you moussaka, pasticcio, and stuff that you grew up on from your grandma. Because first of all, no one can beat your grandma's recipe. You all had it and you can make it by now. But you know what? Let's take you on a trip through Greece. Let's take you to the different areas and use ingredients that you didn't even know Greece was using. So Krasi for us was this regional approach to Greek food that no one's really done, no one's really touched upon. And for them, it's been a huge success. It's fun, it's creative, it's a lot of research and digging around and menu playing. But from there, you only don't have zucchini crisp and souvlakia. You have salaturi from Paros, you have sofrito from Corfu, you have mazzata from Folegandros, like dishes that they know in Greece, but were never introduced to the US. And I think through Krasi, we're trying to get people saying that Greek food is more than just pasticcio and moussaka, which is great. And the wines, we have now have the largest wine list in the US. We found a great wine director who's the biggest non-Greek Greek you'll ever meet. His name is Evan Turner. And we got him from Houston. And it's just, by going to school in Thessaloniki, Greece, he fell in love with the Greek culture and wine. And from there became a sommelier. And he's doing our wine programs at all our restaurants now. But with these wines that we're drinking and that people are just falling in love with it, because all you hear people say, and no offense to age, we're not discriminating against age, but you have a couple in their 60s. I remember in 1980, I drank Assyrtiko in Santorini. There's so much more than Assyrtiko and Santorini. Greece is killing it right now with wines. They're all natural. We don't add sugar to them. And it's a huge education piece for people because they don't know about Greek wine. Orange wines that are coming out, grapes like Debina and Muhtaro that have been around for years and years and years, that nobody knows about, are battling now against Chardonnays, Merlots, and Pinot Noirs. It's such a great thing to see when you go to your local wine shop that you now see Greek bottles of wine other than Assyrtiko and Malagousia and Aioritiko and Mavrodaphne, church wine, as it back in the day we used to call it, on the shelves. And it's just great to see what Greece is doing right now. It's great that we have the ability to import it, and also great to see other people in the business. I'm not an importer, but found Greeks who are importing stuff that we want, that are selling and starting markets and wine shops. And it's not just the restaurateurs like me. It's really everyone who has that foothold in Greece and has the ability to and wanted to do something. We're all working together, which is so nice, because I feel growing up in the nightlife, we were always at competition with each other. It's like, oh, we want to be the best Greek. No, we want to. But now it's like, what? If you're Greek and non-Greeks still doing things, anything Greek. I go to other restaurants and I love seeing Greek ingredients and Greek wines on their menu, which means that they're enjoying it. They're really enjoying it. And I love that. You don't have to be Greek, to enjoy the food or cook with it, or even, attempt. Our chef partner, Theodoris, is from Greece, but we brought an executive chef at Krasi who's half Jamaican, half Italian. took him to Greece for 2 weeks, and we're actually going again in a couple of weeks. We always do our research trips, and just fell in love with the culture, and the way that he talks about the Greek culture is so different than what me and you, or the three of us, can tell a Xen or a stranger.
Right.
Because he experienced it, and he fell in love with it without knowing anything about it, not in the upbringing. And I think that's what we do well at Greeks, is we lure people into our culture, and they just fall in love with it, from the food, from the people, the stories, from pretty much everything. And I think our group does well with that. And even the ones not Greek, we have, our team is a lot of made up of a lot of not Greek people, but just the fact that they fell in love with the culture, and this is their career and their journey, and their commitment to the company, and it's just so nice and rewarding to see. Because that's where I am, that's where I'm at in my age now, and I'm almost going to be 40. But I love the mentoring. I love the training. I love watching, someone start up as a hostess and then becoming a corporate, trainer for the company. And it's really, really nice what we can do. And I'm very grateful that I had this opportunity to do all this, and all while actually loving what I do, because I do enjoy it, and I love this whole education piece now. And it's different. Things are much different. Back in the day, we didn't have TikTok. It was all word of mouth. Things change, and just staying on top of these trends and making sure that, we are on top of them as well, because we want to get Greek food out. We want to get Greek wine out. We want to do things that are different. Hopefully other people catch on and do the same things. We're one team, we can only do so much. So I love, that other restaurants and other restaurateurs and, vendors and liquor reps, we have the most, I think, Greek liquors now in the minute. Effie from Kleos has started something really, really big and established herself. There's other Greek vodkas out there, the Livanos group from New York, and what they've done in importing. It's really a team effort, because I could not do what I do if I didn't have them. I need product to sell, and I need things to constantly keep things fresh. And it's really the help of everyone, and what you guys are doing as well too, by showcasing and broadcasting this, because we're at a disadvantage. We're not on these large scale Italian and other restaurants, and we're a niche concept. But the more the merrier, that all help out and spread the word. It's just great to kind of see that Greeks coming together, and we're all so happy now that we're representing our country, rather than like, oh my God, no, we want to be the only ones who are representing our countries. And times have changed, and I love it for that, because I don't feel competition. I just, keep doing what we do, and love seeing those sort of concepts and congratulating them and saying, and I check out a lot of Greek restaurants here and there. And whenever I do my travels, I always like to see what's going on in the Greek scene as well. But it's just so nice to see, that we have this camaraderie between Greek people, the churches, the organizations, and everything going on. And it's really, really nice. And I like that now. So I feel really, happy with the whole Greek culture and world, and what's going on in the whole US as Greek Americans, because we all know Greek Americans kind of got that bad rap for a long time growing up. We were kind of those Greek Americans, but I think now we've showcased our talents through music, through food, through technology, and have done so much, and are branded as Greeks. And I think Greece respects that, and are really keeping a close watch on what we're doing here in the States, so they can do it back home as well. It's not as easy, I think, in Greece to do certain things. And I think here we have an entrepreneurship advantage. And I think it motivates Greeks back home, which I love seeing too, because, again, technology and social media has brought us so much closer. And I have constant communications with the 70-year-old man now on the farm, and his sons and his team, and the cheesemakers in Metsovo. So it's just so cool now how Greece is actually smaller than what we've always thought, because it's everywhere. Greece is everywhere now. And it's so nice to see that. And, for us, it just constantly makes us wanting to do more and bring out some cool concepts and really spread, the culture amongst our staffs and to our clientele.
I like very much how you were saying, like, that you're happy as long as people doing something Greek or showcasing our culture, because that's that kind of like, you have to have a certain level of emotional maturity and success to be able to step back and say, I don't want to beat everybody else out. I just want to do what I love, be good at it. And I want other people to do what they love and be good at it, because it's just good for our culture as a whole. So great way to put that.
Listen,
I say your next step is mayor of Boston. Anybody, you guys with me? Because I think Demetri can pull it off.
You got my vote.
Thank you. No, definitely do some great things as mayor of Boston. But if I can see something Greek on every block or every neighborhood, we'll never step on someone's territory. If someone's already there and doing something, great, but let's work together. Let's do something really interesting for the community. We don't need to compete with each other because there's so much to go around. There's so much Greek things that you can do. A gyro and a wine bar are very, very different. Now, a taverna versus, whatever else they might be, are totally different. And people think that, there's only, one type of Greek restaurant, which there's not. In Greece, we go to Tsipouradica, we go to tavernes, we go to so many different things and so many different street food, gyros, logomades. We do so many different avenues of Greek food, home cooking versus the modern approaches. There's a lot of different areas of Greek food, and we can capture that in a small city like Boston. When I came from Springfield, Mass, where I grew up in Western Mass, when I first came to Boston, Rosendale for me was really nice because it was like a nice Greek community. Astoria was a highlight of mine, going to Astoria and hearing Greek on every block, and all that kind of fizzled out. And I didn't like that. I never liked that. I always say, we need to bring the Greek culture back. We need to make a better representation of our culture in these cities, because it shouldn't fizzle out. Greece is not a trend. Greece does not come and go. Greece was, is, and will always be there. And I don't like when they put us as a trending food, because we're not trending. We have some of the most ancient grapes in the world for wine, some of the most ancient techniques, the creators of democracy and everything else pretty much in the world, it's Greek. But when they consider us as trends, it just really upsets me, because we're not a fad. We're not going away. We're not bell-bottom jeans. We're not going and coming back here and there.
Yeah, I gotta say, Demetri, I kind of blame ourselves as well for that. I mean, I think the fact that we stepped out of the scene and we were stepped aside to actually progress, because in the 60s and 70s, there was an enormous amount of Greek restaurants. And then as we got out of it, so I think we left the gap open for folks to think this way. Mm-hmm. And to one of your previous comments, you says, why can't you have multiple Greek concepts in one neighborhood? Is true, because if you think about it, why are there 5 Greek-owned pizzerias in the same town?
Yep.
So there's plenty of opportunities to actually allow one or many to put out plenty of concepts, and to your proven points, it would be a success.
Definitely. We in Back Bay alone, we have a Greco, and a block away there's Krasi. We're not competing with ourselves. We're just a different type and a different avenue. You want to go 3 times a week and grab a gyro salad or lucumades from Greco? Do it. But you're still going to go Friday night or Saturday night. You're going to go to Krasi for a nice dinner. Sit on the patio. And now, we just opened, this was supposed to open with Krasi in 2020. We just opened a cocktail bar in the basement of Krasi called Hecate.
Yes.
Goddess of the underworld, craftsmanship. We have a great beverage directors on that team who focus on the craft of cocktail making. And we opened this 24 intimate, cocktail bar, and it's just, really, really great vibes, great atmosphere, and this respect to the cocktail. But again, there's a Greek name for you. It doesn't have to have just Greek liqueurs inside. But again, it's from a team of Greek people, because in Greece, we have some of the best cocktail bars right now with Clumsy's, Baba Ram, Baro Negro. There's such a good cocktail world in Greece that's not represented here. So I'm happy that we were able to do that. It was always supposed to be part of the plan. Then COVID happened, and we just delayed it just a little, because it had to make sure that we were able to open safely and people to enjoy it, with that. And, it's just another avenue of, some sort of Greek, avenue that they're doing in Greece. And I think it's nice that we have these Greek brands here in the States. And believe it or not, Boston is really on the map with everything going on in the Greek world, between the restaurants, the liquors coming in, the importers of food. There's really some great people in this city who are doing great things, and not only with the food, but through education at Harvard, MIT, all these things, medical field. Boston has a great representation of the Greek culture and Greek people and everything that's going on, which is it's a great city to start our base too.
To your point, I'd like to add the fact that the Museum of Fine Arts is actually, one of the chairs is funded by one of our close friends, right? That's a huge thing for us in our culture. The Museum of Science, until recently, their director was Greek as well. But yeah, it's more than just our food culture and our wine culture. It's also our culture in general, in education, medical, finance, and so forth.
And
Going to
you
the
guys,
Celtics and seeing Greek night now is amazing. These things are great. Greek events. You don't have to go to a club and have music and bars, this and that, to have a good time with Greek culture. It's just great that you see it anywhere.
What about this, Demetri? I think is it next or this coming month, next Monday,
20th.
the 20th, Greek Heritage Night at Fenway Park. I mean, what other culture does that?
Exactly. We're still doing the Paralasti. We're still doing Greek events, this and that, and I think we can always do more. The Proxenio being right here, and they're great. We just got a flight back, a nonstop flight Delta. So good job to that. It's
one of those flights myself.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
I also want to say to you and your team's credit, Demetri, you guys are doing really cool things. You guys are doing things that people are talking about. I don't care if I see you in the magazines and all these things, because that's great and that's a great strategy. But I'm a tech guy. I'm a web guy from old days. So every time I open my phone, I cannot not see committee with all the popular cool girls doing like all these things and Krasi. I'm at Krasi right now. Like, that's not marketing that like you could strategize about. You just have to do something really good in order to get that kind of organic viral thing, and you guys have that 100%. And every time I see it, I'm like, they are doing a good job, because this is more than a big Greek restaurant's opening and news is covering it. This is like actual Greeks from all walks of life actually going there and actually liking it and posting about it. So as the web guy, I'm like, they're doing a great job on that.
That's what motivates us to keep doing it too. It's just because we just see everyone loving and enjoying Greek food the way they should, rather than just getting the bad raps from the pizza places, which, it's a time was great for them. But again, we had to change the image of the blue and white. And My Big Fat Greek Wedding, although it was a great movie and it really made a little, fun with the culture and brought it just represented the food scene a little differently, because it's not how it is always. So it's just great to have that funny side of it, the comical side, but also let's get serious in the kitchen, because Greek food is serious. Michelin star restaurants now, the wine list, you have a great concepts in pretty much every major city now with Greeks behind it, which is nice to see.
It's amazing to see. Now, let me ask you this. There may be no answer. You might have an answer. Anything you could share with the Boston Greek audience on future plans? Or is that any under wraps? Anything you could mention? Anything you could hint at?
He's smiling.
Any tease?
It's a great question, because during the 2 years of COVID, where we kind of just took a break from everything, we used that time, to further build our team, to really discuss where do each of you want to be in the company? Where do each of you want to see yourselves, or what else can we do? I can tell you it's probably going to be our busiest year with announcements of new projects, of expansion, growth. You should see a couple new concepts within the city and beyond, Greek concepts, not to compete or duplicate. My biggest thing is I always want to do one-of-a-kind things, original concepts. I don't want to put 3 Krasis in a city. I don't want to put 2 committees. Grecos, yes, expand them because it's much more approachable and easy. But when we do these concepts, they have to be original, unique, and for that specific area. So we do have a couple other concepts, that will launch at the end of the year and next year, all while expanding Greco. So it's going to be a busy year for us, and it's an exciting year for us and the team, for all of us. So you'll hear it and see some good things.
That means we need to bring you back on.
Yeah, so team. It's not just me. I have this whole.
Well, you know what? Yeah, let's get.
We should do a series and bring you on with different team members to talk about different things.
Culinary directors, wine directors, creative development, operations. Our team has been since the beginning, and it's nice that we're just a little family now, and a big family now. And these are our babies, we're having these kids, these other concepts. And it's fun because, again, I see the growth with everyone, and the ability to take a hostess and watch them move up, or a dishwasher and watch them move up. It's so rewarding for me. That's what I want to do. I don't want to just open, we're a very humble group, and we don't do it just for, say we have restaurants. It's literally to see what the teams are doing in these spaces. We just create them. We create them, we monitor them and say, here, go for it, have fun. It's your baby now.
You plant the seeds.
Yes, and it's so nice, and it's going to be a busy year, and you'll hear about everything soon. My
Oh.
thing is I don't like announcing things before.
No.
Some things are official, but we got to create a little hype. We're going to have a couple concepts coming up very soon, and really fun and different from what we're doing.
That means our audience has to stay tuned.
Yes,
You do.
definitely. We'll give you
And when
updates
you-
and teasers.
When you announce your mayor run, I'm in the campaign. I'm in the campaign. I'm saying now.
Let's do it. We need a Greek mayor in Boston.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think if there's a lot of talented Greeks, but after hearing you speak, I'm sold that you're the guy.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed it.
This is great. This is very inspiring. I think for those that probably are in the industry who are just getting going and they listen to you, I think you probably have given that push to keep going.
And we love it. And that's what we try to do now. Like the piece in our company is like, we want to give back and motivate. We just did an amazing event with the Hope Group and seeing kids come in and just wanting, the future and asking questions about how to become a chef and how to do this. And that's what we need to do more of is the giving back. We were given so much and so fortunate to have these opportunities. So one of our goals now as a group is the giving back piece. And what can we do to give back as much as possible to Greek and non-Greek organizations? But I think anytime we can do that, it just feels good and it's just right. And we have to spend more time doing that.
Bravo, Demetri. Bravo.
Excellent.
I love this interview because I love talented, like just good. You could tell that this comes from the heart, and that's important. And everything you're doing, everything you earned, everything you worked towards, coming to life, and the success that brings, and the fact that you recognize it, and then you talk about others, and then you talk about giving back. These are all things that make us very happy. These are all things that I love to see in others, and you're the epitome. You epitomize that for me.
Thank you to you both too for doing this and spreading. We need people to spread. I stay quiet most of the time. I'm not that person who just goes out and says, I wish I had more the ability, but you guys are putting it, across boundaries and borders.
It's a team effort. We need,
like I said, definitely.
We need individuals like you to allow us to do this.
We need amazing Greeks to do the things that you do. We'll do whatever we do, and everybody together for a powerful Greek culture.
I like it.
Demetri, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I don't think this is the last time because we got to bring you back. You bring anybody you want with you.
Definitely.
Let's get some updates. When things can be a little more released, I want you to come back and tell us. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure Fluffy feels the same. This was awesome. I'm glad we finally nailed you down to do this. And we want to thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you both too as well. Thank you.
And we want to thank everybody out there for watching and listening. Demetri Tsolakis, we're going to have all the links to the 8,000 things that he does, and he does awesome. Stay tuned for more with Demetri. Stay tuned for more with our podcast. And we want to thank everybody out there. Thank you. Bye-bye.